Well, friends, darkness is upon us. We've been here before, and unfortunately, Rutgers men's basketball did not give any signs of things getting better anytime soon with a 68-50 loss at home to Purdue on Thursday night. Purdue ranked number 20th nationally. Was 46-41, 10:51 to play. Tyson Acuff hit a three. The rack was alive. Hope was present and quickly was gone as Purdue finished the game on a 22-9 run. It was an initial 13-2 run. And it was just very indicative of this team and where things are. You come out of a timeout, you have momentum on your side, and you can't get a stop. And they didn't have that guy, right, on defense to will them to a stop. And it's really depressing to see this team. The way they finished out that game, it was hopeless with, 6-7 minutes to go. It was over. Rutgers didn't score the last 3.5 minutes of the game. Statistically, it's a maddening performance as well because they were 9 of 11 from the foul line. They started 7 of 17 from three. They missed their last 6, so they finished just 30%. But Purdue came in shooting 39% from three, top 15 nationally, and they were just 4 of 24 in this game, 17%. They were just 8 of 16 from the line. Rutgers was +2 on the boards. They were +2 on the offensive glass. They were +4 on second chance points. But they turned it over 7 times in the first 11 possessions. They turned it over 12 times in the first half. They turned it over 16 times in the game. Purdue held a 11-4 point off turnover advantage. But they were 24 of 32 from 2-point range. 75% inside the arc. Rutgers could not defend the pick and roll to save itself. I tweeted before the game, I was really concerned about their ability on screening actions, whether it was switching, whether it was fighting through, help side defense, and they failed again miserably. It was Wisconsin, same thing. They were a really good 3-point shooting team, and they just carved Rutgers up inside, little resistance at the rim, in the paint, and there's no soul to this team. I hate to say it. It's listen, I'm not even angry. I'm distraught. As a longtime fan, hopes for this team to see them go down with a whimper, with their season on the line, the last 2 games, and for them to come out the way they did both those games, and then to finish the way they did in both those games. It's very disheartening. And yes, Dylan Harper, there's not a negative word to say about Dylan Harper. The kid's a warrior. He's trying to be out there. He obviously has a really bad case of the flu. He was not himself once again tonight. Played 28 minutes, 6.6 rebounds, 3 assists. But he obviously, they don't have his weapon of being able to get downhill and get to the rim and drive this offense, facilitate this offense. And nobody else could really step up around him. Ace had 17, which is 5 of 15 from the floor. Was 4 of 9 from three, 7 rebounds, better from the line, 3 of 4. But, the mid-range, Rutgers was 2 of 11, I believe. Let me just fact check that. They were 2 of 11 late in the game. They were 7 of 23 from 3 for just 30%. They were 8 of 18 on layups and dunks, which is not good either. That's 15 of 41, which made them 2 of 11 from 2-point range. So they didn't shoot a ton of mid-range, but they could not make any mid-range. And this team just has no offensive flow. They have no understanding of team defense concepts. I was happy that Peichel pressed more tonight, though Dylan didn't really have any legs to do it, but still, he tried something. And at least there's some consistency there. Dylan Grant and Tyson Acuff played relatively well again. I mean, Grant was, 3 of 3 from the floor, just 3 rebounds, but 7 points. Tyson Acuff, just 2 of 7 from the floor, but was 2 of 5 from 3-point range, 4 of 4 from the line, 5 rebounds for him, 3 assists, 0 turnovers, 25 minutes. So you got some consistency there from both of them. but you got nothing else from anybody else. And the turnovers is maddening, especially against a Purdue defense that came in at the 200 something in terms of defensive turnover rate. This is not a team that forces a ton of turnovers. And Rutgers, just the lack of focus, the lack of continuity, connectedness with each other, they just look lost out there on both ends of the floor. And, it's Pike. I listened to Peichel in the post game on the radio. They talked about it in the pregame apparently with Jerry Recco about, they were prepared. They knew what Purdue does well. They were prepared for those pick and rolls in the paint, and Peichel felt like they prepared a lot for it. And Rutgers just could not defend it at all. They haven't defended the pick and roll well at all year. And then just screen actions to get shooters open. They can't, on switches. I mean, they're just lost conceptually in terms of how to defend screens. And so it's a failure of the coaching staff, right? But it's not a lack of preparation. That's the thing. It's not that Steve Peichel and the coaching staff forgot how to prepare their team and scout opponents. Players aren't executing the game plan. The staff can't get them to execute the game plan. And maybe the staff doesn't have the right players to execute the game plan. So ultimately, it's a failure on Steve Peichel and the coaching staff. But it's brutal to watch. And, unless Jon Snow appears on this roster, I'm not sure this team's going to come back from anything. Obviously, their season is pretty much at this point toast. Jerry Carino and I talked about it, on the pod earlier this week, that they really needed to beat Purdue and UCLA to get back into this. Now, mathematically, there's plenty of Q1 games left on the schedule. Dylan Harper, you have to imagine, is going to get through this better, get healthy from this flu sooner rather than later. Maybe they can ignite something there, but they haven't given us any reason to believe that they will. I was looking at last year, even at this point in the season, that team gave you more moments at this point in the season than this team's given you. Last year you had the upset road win at Seton Hall. You had on this day last year, they beat Indiana at home. They steamrolled them. I think there was one other positive moment up to this point last year. They beat Georgetown at home. That wasn't, a big deal. But those were, some moments that team that ultimately finished 15-17 and went off the rails gave fans leading up to this point. I mean, this year it's really the Penn State game. That's really the only moment this team's given you. I mean, it's just so frustrating to see that this team took Alabama and Texas A&M to the wire, and now they're putting efforts like this together in Big Ten play. I mean, Dylan Harper healthy or not, it's an inexcusable effort performance from this team tonight. Looking back at the Wisconsin game too, I mean, just the effort in terms of, getting back on defense, it's not where it needs to be. And, there were a lot of boos tonight, and any frustration that a Rutgers fan has right now is warranted. And, college kids dedicate, college student athletes, college men's basketball players dedicate a lot, and you have to respect that no matter what. But you're not seeing that fire from this team. You're not seeing that extra effort. You're not seeing that passion with Rutgers on their jerseys. And I know, a lot of people are going to bemoan the NIL era and the transfer portal era, and, that's the death of it. And, it's never going to get better. I'm not going to say that. I think you have to thread the needle, but I think there's a lot of good people on this roster. There's a lot of good people in this program. So I'm not going to just sit up here and blindly rant and, say everyone's a disgrace. I don't think that that's warranted. That's not, there's no humanity in that. But the bottom line is this team is failing miserably. There's no joy out there. They're not playing together. I know that there's game plans that aren't being followed because I know Steve Peichel and the coaching staff, and we've seen them been able to scheme before, And again, defensively, just they're lost. And then offensively, again, with minus Dylan Harper being able to create getting downhill. There's no concepts. There's no, they're running some horns, they're running some sets, but they're not screening nearly enough to get teammates open to generate looks. There's no strategy, and I love Ace Bailey, but he's making it easy on opponents because someone needs to show him film of Kevin Durant at Texas, because Kevin Durant, the pro, is different than Kevin Durant was in college. And, he could always hit those big shots, don't get me wrong, but he shoved it down opponents' throats, driving to the rim, getting downhill in college. And Ace Bailey is just taking that off the table and making it easy for opponents to defend him and raising that level of difficulty for him. And the last 2 games, it hasn't worked for his shot. I mean, he hit some big threes tonight, but he's got to get to the rim. He's talented enough to beat opponents off the bounce. And Rutgers has to set him up too. They got to do some pick and rolls with him. They got to get him at the rim because he is such an athletic and gifted talent that you have to generate some easy looks for him. He's just too good not to. So that's a big frustration. Otherwise, in terms of, Jeremiah Williams didn't score tonight. Looked like he hurt the elbow a little bit, but he just took 1 shot. That was from 3, so no mid-range for him. He played just 14 minutes. He was obviously banged up. I hope he gets better soon. Somerville got his first start, rightfully so, but was saddled in foul trouble, had 4 fouls. Only played 21 minutes, just 3 shots, 2 points for him, just 3 boards. Jermichael Davis had 3 early turnovers. Got him 2 points, but 0 assists, 3 turnovers for a guy that's had a pretty, very, very good assist to turnover rate for a while. Did not deliver on that end tonight. Durkak struggled once again, 1 of 7 from the floor. Igbole was really bad on defense. Did have 4 points. PJ Hayes 0 of 3 from 3. Martini didn't even see the floor. Just no contributions. And other than, Grant Nakoff is good to see. Bailey tried, Dylan tried, but it's just not working. And Purdue is a true team. Purdue and Wisconsin are 2 old school Big Ten teams. They have veteran players, and they're, individuals that are better in the team concept. And, Braden Smith just put on a clinic tonight. 16 points, 14 rebounds. It's unfortunate Dylan wasn't healthy. They will get a rematch in West Lafayette, so I'm excited to see what Dylan. I think as a player, Dylan's still better. But Smith and Lawyer and Kaufman, Wren. Those guys are veterans. Been through the ringer, and they look like it tonight. And it was just very disappointing the way Rutgers came out. And then when they finally cut the lead to 5, there was no mental toughness there. They just caved. They caved. And to not see this team, regardless of what happens now, obviously they're completely out of NCAA tournament contention. Last rites are not far away from being issued. Like I said, if Jon Snow appears, that would do wonders. But they're not even in line to make the Big Ten tournament. They're in 17th place right now. To not see this team even go down swinging, that would be the coldest of all. And there's really not much else to say right now. It's depressing. It's very disappointing. And, it's should be disheartening to see the way this team showed up tonight. 18-point loss at home to Purdue. I don't care that they're ranked. With your season on the line, that's the effort you give. That doesn't give any hope at all that things are going to turn around. They're now 8-8, 1-4 in the Big Ten. And we've been through a lot as a fan base, and we're going through a lot right now. Thanks so much for listening and watching once again here at the Scarlet Faithful Podcast.